So we're here with Howie Jacobson and Glenn Livingston and Perry Marshall.
Greetings.
Greetings. And we just heard a presentation from Google from Tom Leung after hearing Glenn's presentation on research and finding out your marketplace. I'm going to put you on the spot, Howie. Some of the big things that popped into your mind from Glenn's presentation or from Tom's this morning. And speak loudly.
Yeah, from Glenn, I got a really key idea of the fact that a search is a compression of an entire history of a relationship with an issue or problem. And I'd never articulated it like that before. It's going to help me teach that principle and understand it when I use it myself with clients.
Great. And how about from Tom?
From Tom, it was just so simple and clear. And I love, for me, this idea of here's two things, and I have no idea which one's better, and now you're going to show me the result. That's like crack for me. I first saw Perry do that at the seminar, 4 or 5 years ago, just showing me the complete limitations of our marketing. That as Glenn talks about narcissistic marketing, thinking you know anything. When I after the client signed the contract, I tell them the secret is that I know nothing, and their customers know everything.
Gotcha.
And Tom just gave a beautiful presentation on how to simply start figuring out what they want.
Excellent. Thank you, Howie. Now, you can't comment on your own presentation, but how about Tom's? Did anything jump out at you?
It did, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've talked to hundreds of students about, actually, the last point that Howie brought up about when you have a successful concern, that it's dangerous to get too involved with testing a variety of options that you have no idea whether or not they're going to perform any better, because it's actually expensive, because 9 out of 10 things that we test usually do worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's always been a way to get around that by installing multiple Google Ads copies of your control in order to minimize the exposure to the new and possibly worse/dangerous alternatives. But now that Google is finally starting to build, and although it's kind of hidden where it is now that they're trying to build into the system the opportunity to click and assign only a limited percentage of your traffic, I think that existing consumers will have a greater degree of safety, and I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't been sitting here and watching it today. I don't know where they're hiding it.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And Perry, did you have a chance to hear Glenn this morning?
I heard a little bit of Glenn this morning.
And
I was heading up in the hallway.
But you've worked with Glenn for years.
Right. I think very highly of Glenn.
Okay. And
glad everybody got to hear that.
Good choice to have as a lead speaker.
Choice.
And Tom's presentation?
Tom's was great. My favorite part was where he talked about when they get all the mad scientists in a room at a retreat and they all have fist fights with each other about all the things that we think Google should do that they're not doing, and actually they argue about all this stuff, go back and forth. That discussion was about the full variable testing versus like Taguchi and stuff like that, which in our geekier conversations we get into some of that stuff. And he explained, why they can't quite come to agreement and why they do and don't do certain things. And Google, to most of us, Google's kind of opaque. They don't tell us what they're doing or why they're doing it. But Tom does actually appear to live more or less in the same world we do. So
it's a shock, isn't it?
That was good. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Perry.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Now we're going to go over to Tom and see if we can eavesdrop on anything he has to say. And if anyone sees Kelly,
I'd be open to that. So you could just.
I'm sure you're a busy guy.
Yeah, in the subject line, put like speaker opportunity or something like that. Now everybody's going with that, no matter what you're asking. Yeah. Oh, really? Can you fix my thing?
What's the best way to get feedback?
You can send it to me, then subject product feedback. So I read email by subject line.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's so many.
Good filter. You have a card, Tom?
Yes.
I'd like a card for this in my question.
Find somebody with a camera.
Tracking on-page behavior. Is that where where analytics comes in?
Yeah, the way to look at it is analytics will tell you what's going on, whereas Website Optimizer will divide people into different places and then compare, do this sort of comparison.
So for example, if you wanted to drive people to different sites with Optimizer, and one of the outcomes is obviously the goal page, but I could also, if I had analytics on each of the A and B pages, then I can sort of look, okay, well, I realize that the big picture is more people went to this goal, but on A and
The time on page was different, or the bounce rate was different. So the optimizer in analytics is, it's not I use this or that one. You use both. And look here.
And Perry, you too, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, three favorites.
These-
How are you, Perry?
Good. How are you?
Recognize you.
Said I read his physical one, but these are my three. Here they are, right here. My three favorite newsletter writers of all time: Robert Middleton, Sean D'Souza, and Perry Marshall at System 2008. Your web address for people that want to subscribe?
Actionplan.com.
Actionplan.com,
Psychotactics.com.
Psychotactics.com,
PerryMarshall.com.
PerryMarshall.com. Great newsletters. Glad these guys are here.
Go over what Website Optimizer is. We'll look at a number of case studies, looking at how people have used it already, including ourselves. If we have time, I'll also go into a quick demo just to show you a little bit of the tool itself. If there's interest, we can also look at some real time at some pages on the web and sort of diagnose them and say, okay, well, what would we test here? And I'm happy to take volunteers if people want a volunteer campaign they're running. Then I'll also share some of the things that we've learned in the last, over 2 years of development of this particular product, and then some tips and resources and Q&A. Now that's a lot in 45 minutes. So the next thing I'd like to do, these three things in bold here, the case studies, the demo, and the real-time diagnoses, probably not something where we can do all three in great depth. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take one that you think is the most